色、红色、不臭味，没有色是圆屋。表面的话才会是圆屋顶形，对不对？
Language immersion education is fundamentally about doing schooling in and through the medium of a new language.
What it does is it integrates the teaching of language and content so that students are learning language while they're learning content, and teachers are skilled at helping them develop their language while they are also learning math, science, social studies, and so on. So it really gives us a chance to learn language in meaningful ways and to combine academic learning with language learning into one program.
Child will go to that program and will receive their instruction for at least half of the instructional day. 50% of the minutes of that instructional day will be happening in this new language, where they are learning not only the curriculum, same curriculum as everybody else in the district, only they are learning it through the medium of that second language.
Our students take 7 classes in a day, so in that day they have 3 classes in Spanish. They might be doing a dissection lab in science in the morning and doing all of the vocabulary for that lab in Spanish, and then have a Spanish language arts class where they're reading a novel or participating in a Socratic seminar.
Era como 60 centímetros. It's challenging, and it's interesting that I get to know another language.
Immersion programs are set with 3 main areas of goals. One is to develop high levels of proficiency in 2 languages, the native language and a second language. The second, that they receive high quality academic preparation, so they achieve academically at or above grade level. And finally, the third goal is that students who are learning and becoming bilingual will gain a greater appreciation for diverse cultures and will become more cross-culturally competent.
The opportunity to gain a second language is also the opportunity to be bicultural, multicultural, because you're not only learning the language of that other individual, but you're also learning culture, you're learning about their traditions, their customs, their heritage. That seems to enhance who we are as a people and also to learn about others.
Language immersion education has a long history of program evaluation type studies. It's understandable because any parent who gives their child over to schooling and knows that the child's going to be schooled in a new language, right? They're always concerned about the child's first language.
One of the biggest concerns that parents have is whether or not their child is going to be able to learn English. And our response is always, our biggest concern is whether or not they're going to learn Chinese.
07快你说。
因为是那个书在这两个书的
中间非常好。他们一共
We have quite a bit of research that has shown that, yes, the children do master the content of the curriculum, and plus they have no inadequacies in their first language development.
All across the board, every graph that I see, the immersion students do as well or usually better as their non-immersion peers. That's in reading, in ELA, that's in math, that's in science, that's in social studies. When I think about the benefits of a language immersion education and dual language education, I think about the unique advantage that this program model provides.
If the goal is to promote language or second language learning, then yeah, I would say it's a good idea to promote immersion programs and make them more accessible.
If I'm a parent and I want to make sure that my kid gets an excellent education, I'm going to be looking for a school that can say, hands down, we're going to prepare your child in English language arts and math and all their other subjects. If I then hear on top of that your kid gets an edge and they also become proficient in another language, then to me there's just no reason not to do it.
When we were in Puerto Rico, we visited historic sites, and then we visited a school where all the kids spoke Spanish. They didn't speak any English, and we can make new friends there and talk to them and know like how they do things there.
Being bilingual has given me the opportunity to access to many more things than people who are monolingual. And not only because I can access through the language, but also through the culture. And being able to understand what does it feel to be from another place, what it feels to be an immigrant, what it feels to be still an English language learner myself, has empowered me to work harder and also to show the world that being bilingual or trilingual, it's not a disadvantage, it's an advantage.
When you learn a new language, your brain's kind of open even more. You're getting even smarter. I mean, I know it's pretty weird, I don't know why, but that's the way it works.
We are seeing more and more studies that are evidencing the cognitive benefits that come with being bilingual.
Right, it's a kind of mental exercise in a sense, because you're learning more and you're having to work your way through these two languages.
Selective attention benefits, greater executive control benefits, and we also see things like enhanced problem-solving abilities.
It's not just a matter of developing bilingualism, it's also developing smarter kids in general, and that is inevitably going to benefit communities, going to benefit the larger Minnesota society.
Today, we are in a global economy.
You want to go get a job at Ecolab, one of the Fortune 500 companies that's located in downtown St. Paul. They're doing business across the globe. They have headquarters in Europe, they have headquarters in Asia. They are expanding their markets across the world. If you're an executive at Ecolab and you're making a decision as to whether you should hire this person or that person, they're going to hire the person that has multiple language skills because they need it to be competitive.
You know, these foreign languages are not so foreign anymore because in the international marketplace, people are interacting with, collaborating with, negotiating with people from all over the world all the time. And so knowing these other languages and certainly being familiar with their cultures is arguably part of being globally competent.
I may never have to, tell you how to calculate the radius of a circle again in my life, but I travel on a regular basis, and if I had a more developed language skill, it would help me on a daily basis in my job.
There's a monolingual state of mind that we see in the United States as we live in English, we work in English, we don't have to speak another language, but slowly and gradually I think people are realizing that the world is flat.
We're starting to understand in a way that we haven't before that it's not just reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's also language skills, it's global citizenship skills, it's all of those things. Because the people that are traveling, the people that are doing business internationally, are realizing that they just can't rely on the fact that everybody else is supposed to know English. We have to know other languages if we're going to be successful and if we're going to have a strong economy in the Twin Cities.
In the fall of 2011, Governor Jack Markell actually created the Governor's World Language Expansion Initiative, and it was a real response to the economic needs of the state of Delaware and needing to create a workforce of bilingual employees or of people who have capacity to speak more than one language and operate within more than one culture. So we are in the process of launching 20 immersion programs over the course of the next 5 years from a statewide level, and provide opportunities for students and districts to create pathways from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade so that students by the time they graduate really do have capacity to learn, work, and live in another language.
In Utah, in 2008, with Senate Bill 41, we created the Utah Dual Language Immersion Initiative. It's a legislative funded program that provides funding to school districts and to the State Office of Education to have a dual language immersion network across the state of Utah. But I think the message of Utah is that it's time for state educational agencies to step up and support local dual language immersion programs across their area.
The story that needs to be told is the potential for dual language and immersion education to help Minnesota deal with this challenge of needing to graduate more students, particularly students of color and students from low-income backgrounds, students whose first language is not English, and also in terms of helping Minnesota address its achievement gap.
Before we proposed this school, we noticed some data in the district that said that if students came from less affluent neighborhoods, they were a lot less likely to even have access to language instruction, period, which meant that their chances at accessing excellent higher educational opportunities and jobs later on was diminished. And to us, it seemed like an equity issue. And so knowing that language immersion is the very best way in school to teach kids a second language meant that if we opened an immersion school in North Minneapolis, we'd have a chance to really change the tide in terms of equal opportunity and opening doors for kids that would not necessarily be open otherwise.
This whole notion of English only and so on goes against a lot of educational initiatives and social realities around the world. And I think given that, in the end, the kids here are losing out if they don't have those opportunities.
I think the vision is to have this opportunity for all students in all communities. It shouldn't be absent from one community and be evident in another community, particularly communities that seem to be disadvantaged or marginalized.
That sense of pride that they get when they can do it in another language, that extra challenge, that extra engagement, we're finding that kids who have been unsuccessful in other schools are successful in our school. So kids who might have in the early grades not gotten a foothold in the educational system are coming here and being really successful.
We know that these programs, particularly given their success with students from different ethnic backgrounds and socioeconomic backgrounds, they really have the potential to contribute to reducing the achievement gap. And yet the state doesn't seem to have that on their radar screen.
A major barrier is the lack of leadership on the part of people, either politicians or educational leaders, who have the vision that this is desirable and feasible for all children. Because it's really at that level that you need efforts to be made so that it can happen. Because you need resources for this to happen.
There are many kids who go to an immersion program and they're students of color in poverty. So then, if that is one of the ways in which we can close the achievement gap, why not to do it?
So the academic benefits, the linguistic benefits, the cognitive benefits, and then finally those socio-cultural benefits, the personal benefits that will come from being bilingual or multilingual and being able to use your language as a way to interact with the world, both personally and professionally. I can't think of any individual I would not want to provide with those kinds of advantages.